everyone. It's me. I am back from Mexico. Super excited to be back in my corner. If you are watching, that means you have stumbled into my corner as well. Thank you so much for coming and stopping by today and hanging out with me for a little while. Today's show is about travel lingo, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this because I have some very recent experience with travel lingo and travel lingo in another country that is not speaking my native language. Hi from England. Where in England are you? Because I met the nicest couple on my trip. They were so nice. And they told us all about their home in England, and we went swimming in a cave while we were in Mexico, and they said that the water in the cave was pretty similar to the water in England, in Norwich. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That's so awesome. But they made fun of me because when I got into that very cold cave water, I screamed, and then bats flew everywhere. Because you're not supposed to scream in a cave, apparently. But then there were bats, and it was tons of fun. But hello, Samira. Hello in Ghana. I'm so happy that you guys are here and you are tuning in today. I have to give a shout out. So I was in Mexico and I had the greatest time in Mexico. I got to practice my Spanish. And I have to give a shout out to my favorite, Fernando. He is subscribed. He's probably going to watch this later because he's working hard at the resort. But Fernando es mi profesor de español y es fantástico. So I just said that Fernando is my professor in Spanish, and he was fantastic. So Fernando, whenever you watch this, buddy, giving you a special shout out in Mexico. So, and to all my Spanish speakers out there. So super excited about the show today. Very happy to be back in the good old US of A and talking to all of you. Hello from Colombia, Kenya, Finland. I met a couple from Finland as well, and they were the funniest people ever. Holy smokes. I also heard that in Finland, there is a whole place where you can like go and meet Santa Claus and all sorts of stuff. I've heard it's a really cool experience for your children. So hello from Saudi Arabia. Oh, look at all these people. I missed you guys. Super happy to be here. Super excited to be here. So let's get started with today's show. Today's show may not necessarily be about a specific English exam, but what I've learned on my travels recently, it was great to be reminded of all of these things. But what I remembered from all of my travels was practicing English is going to help you no matter what. Hello in Kenya, hello in Kuwait. Practicing English is going to help you no matter what, whether you're practicing for an exam, whether you're practicing because you're preparing to come to the United States, whether you're just practicing so that you can get better with your English. Tanzania, hello, Mary. But anytime you have the opportunity to practice your language and practice speaking your language. So often we say that we're practicing and all we're doing is watching YouTube videos or TikTok videos, which Worldwide HealthStaff has a TikTok channel now. So make sure you're subscribing to that. Hello to all my friends in the Philippines. So listening it's important. It's huge. It's very important. But the act of actually speaking, getting the words out, that is so important. And when you come to the United States, that's going to be one of the most important. I put speaking and listening right there next to each other, but speaking is going to be so important when you come here, because that's how you're going to communicate, not just with your patients, but to get around, right? So I wanted to start with travel lingo, traveling to the United States and getting to where you need to go. What are some of the common words and phrases that you're going to need to know, need to hear, all of that wonderful fun stuff. So let's start with some good old-fashioned airport lingo. I spent an unnecessary amount of time in the airport. I was just telling our marketing guy, Tracy, coming through U.S. Customs, was a nightmare. So for all of you people dealing with, waiting on US documentation and waiting on all of this US stuff, I'm not trying to slam the US government, but man, waited for 2 hours in customs line when I got back into the United States. So what about you guys? Have you all had customs experiences where you've had to wait for a really, really long time? Especially, I was very fortunate that my husband watched our kids, so I didn't have my children with me, but there was a man and his daughter was sitting on top of the suitcase. It was one of those like rolling suitcases, and she had her face pressed on the handle and she was passed out on that suitcase. And I was just like, man, traveling is a lot for your children. So for those of you who will be traveling with dependents, keep that in mind. Keep devices charged, keep what they need to stay comfortable. If they need snacks, if they need drinks, keep all those things on hand, especially if you're traveling with children. So some fun facts, some fun numbers. In the United States, there are 5,211 public airports. 5,211 places that you could fly into. That's a lot. But the thing about airports is the language, no matter where you're landing here in the United States, the language is going to be the same, which is a good thing about airports. No matter if you're landing in New York, if you're landing in LA, if you're landing in Florida, even if you're going to Wyoming, which I learned that we have not sent anyone to Wyoming. But if you are a first nurse and you go to Wyoming, the language is going to be the same. So there are, however, in the United States right now are over 350 different languages spoken in the United States, over 350 languages. So the US is truly a melting pot of a lot of diversity, cultural diversity, lots of different languages being spoken in the US. So that can be intimidating. So that's why it's really important for airports to use the same words and language when they come over here, so that no matter where you land, there's that constant language. Hello in the Philippines and in Nigeria. This was really amazing to me. The amount of people entering the United States every day, which this explains why my line to get back into the United States was 2 hours long. 1 million people enter the United States daily. Daily. 1 million people are going through U.S. customs daily. That's crazy. That's a lot of people. I wonder if that many people are leaving. We got to make space. But that's some crazy stuff, some crazy numbers. So I've got just some basic words that if you're familiar with them, great. If not, ask questions about them. Use the chat to ask questions. Can you explain this? Can you say this in a different way? Happy to do that. Happy to explain this so that you understand what these words are. First is airline. Obviously, that's just what the name of your flight is. For example, I flew on American Airlines. Delta is a popular airline. Southwest is a popular airline. Frontier is one we have in the U.S. Spirit is one we have in the U.S. But that's the name that you're going to see on the side of the airplane. Baggage claim. And there's often pictures from that. Cape Town. I just read a fantastic book that took place in Cape Town, South Africa. And that is on my to-do list. I want to go there because I want to go cage diving with great white sharks. Sorry, someone just chatted that they were from Cape Town, South Africa. Baggage claim. That's where you're going to see the little suitcase picture. But that'll take you to baggage claim. That's where you're going to go get all of your luggage. Your boarding pass, that's what you have to get on the plane. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but most airlines, and it makes check-in so much easier. Because I feel like when you travel, especially internationally, you have to have so much documentation with you. A lot of places you can download the app for the airline. You can download your ticket and it goes straight, it stays on your phone. So that's one less thing you have to keep track of. I mean, you got to keep your phone charged, of course, but that is one handy thing. I used that just on my previous trip, and it was really, really nice. I had all three of the people who were traveling with me had all of our boarding passes together right there on my phone, less paperwork I had to keep track of. So that's a really handy little tip. Gate number. Your gate number, that's where your plane will be departing from. That's where you will board the plane. Terminal is the name of like the big hallway where all of the planes are coming in. So your gate number will be on your terminal. So a lot of times a terminal is a letter, A, B, C, D, E. In Atlanta, this is weird. In Atlanta, they do call them concourse. So you may hear the word concourse as well. Carry on, that's the bags you got with you. You are literally carrying them on the plane with you. You're bringing them with you. And they do have travel restrictions on sizes, on how big your carry-ons can be. Customs, my people, my best friends, shout out to the U.S. Customs Department. Customs is where you're going to check in. That's where they're going to check your passport. Make sure you pay attention. There are different lines. So, for example, I'm sure if you've traveled internationally, you know if you are a native to that country, there's a line for you. There's a place for you to check in. Versus if you are not native, if you are not a citizen of that country, there's going to be a different line for that process. One thing that we offer here in the United States that's pretty handy is and I know they offer this globally, but you can have what's called a TSA pre-check or a global entry. A global entry. Now, if you have that global entry, I am now going to get my global entry because I've spent too much time waiting in a customs line. Global entry, the line is much, much shorter. Here in the US, it's $50 to get a global entry pass, but it makes traveling internationally so much quicker, so much easier. Strongly suggest it, especially if you're traveling with little ones. Global entry. That's what you're looking for. Fantastic. You get to skip a lot of the lines. And we all know how much little kids love lines. Even adults get really impatient and cranky waiting in lines too. Arrivals means that's where the plane's coming in. And then departures, that's where the plane will be leaving. So if you're going to departures, that means you're traveling. Arrivals means you have landed and you're coming in. Then you have domestic and international. Domestic flights will be flights within the country. So once you get to the United States, let's say that you're flying into New York. New York is a big hub. For those of you who've not been to a big airport, JFK is huge if you're flying into New York. The international terminal, the international area is in a separate building. Like you have to get in a car or a taxi and go to a separate building to get to your next flight if you're flying from JFK to Kentucky or Kansas or wherever your final destination is. So you'll deboard on JFK in the international. You'll come in, you'll go through customs, you'll get all of your baggage, you'll recheck your bags, go through security again, and then get on a domestic flight within the United States. Priority. You might see some signs on airlines that say priority boarding. Those are people who either have like the credit card associated with that airline or they're flying in first class. Sometimes if you're traveling with very small children, like an infant or a child age 2 and under, you can get priority boarding. They'll let you go ahead and get on the plane first. Trolley. This is the very large devices on wheels where you can push all of your baggage. So if you have a ton of luggage, you can ask for a trolley. I think I've always just called them a cart, like a luggage cart. I know trolley it's a British term as well. And then of course, bathroom. You gotta know the word bathroom. No matter what country you're going to, know the word for bathroom. You don't even have to know how to say, where is the bathroom? If you just say bathroom and you look at someone, bathroom. Different countries I've also noticed have different signs for the men's versus women's restroom. You'll also see signs for family restrooms. Oftentimes those family restrooms are used for mothers who are breastfeeding or things like that. But or if you have multiple children with you, everybody just goes in at one time. But the signs can be different in the United States. You have, it looks like a circle and then a triangle. It looks like a lady wearing a dress. And then the men's is like, looks man wearing pants. That's the best way I can describe it to you, is what it looks like in the US. The Mexican one looked very different. It looked like a lady who needed to go to the bathroom very badly, like she had her legs crossed. And I was like, that's probably more accurate. Let's see. Let's go on to the next one. So once you get on the ground, you've gotten through the airport, you've navigated, you've got your bags, you are in the United States, you are here. Now, how do you get where you need to go? First of all, organize airport transportation ahead of time if possible. If you can go online and organize your transportation ahead of time, that is always the best. If you're staying at a hotel, especially if the hotel's near the airport, they oftentimes the hotel will offer airport shuttles or free airport shuttles. So you can go to your hotel's website and arrange an airport shuttle to pick you up. But organizing transportation ahead of time if possible. The other piece of advice that I have for you is to print the name and address of your hotel. Print the name and address of your hotel. And when you get to your hotel, a lot of times they'll have business cards, so that if let's say you've gone to your hotel, you've checked in, you left your hotel, and you have to take a taxi back to your hotel, but you're like, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. Keep the business card with you and hand that to the cab driver. That way he knows where to go. So there's no difficulty in language, because sometimes, and even in the United States, you'll get a cab driver whose English is not very good. And so then you're trying to speak English and their English isn't very good, and they don't speak your language and you don't speak their language. So anytime you can have a visual, always a good thing. Always, always, always a good thing. Visuals are so helpful. The next thing I would have to say that make sure you know and understand how to use would be, can you help me? Can you help me? Look for someone in a uniform. Especially once you get outside of the airport, you're going to see men and women dressed in uniform. A lot of times they may be directing traffic, but you'll still see various people in uniform. Or even if you see just someone sitting on a bench and they're obviously waiting on their ride, and they're just scrolling through TikTok, you can go up to them and say, can you help me? And then you can use your translation app. I still strongly suggest, even if you're coming over to the United States and you feel pretty good about your English, you've passed your IELTS or your TOEFL or your PTE, when you've got all that adrenaline going and you have, and I experienced this, I literally just experienced this. I had all of my words, all of my phrases down. And it's like when I got to the airport in Mexico and it landed, it's just like all left. It all poofed. So I kind of felt like I experienced what you guys experience when you sit down to take your English exams. But it did. It all left. I was like, I don't even know how to say, like, can you help me? Or like, where is the bathroom? Or everything left my brain because I was so focused on, I was in another country and there's tons of people around me. You feel like you're in a herd and you're being shoved in a direction. So have that translation app handy. Even if you feel good about your English, have the translation app handy, because a lot of times that adrenaline rush will make you forget, because English is not your native language. It will make you forget a lot of words that you're like, I knew that word. Finally, this is just one handy app that, because my sister's a nurse, she's kind of suggested this before. If you or anyone you're traveling with has food allergies. So when you sit down to eat, anything like that, create food allergy cards. And I kind of have a small picture of them up here. You may not be able to see it, but list the allergies and do pictures, like a picture with a slash through it, like especially if you have a peanut allergy, anything like that. That way, when you go to a restaurant, you can give that to the waiter or waitress so that they understand, and they can help you order, that because some people, a lot in the United States, we use peanut oil a lot to cook things. And if you have a peanut allergy, you can't have anything cooked in peanut oil, right? So having that information handy and being able to share that is very, very, very important. Okay. Especially if you're still on that adrenaline rush. Some of you may get to the United States and you find yourself in the airport and you have what's called a layover. And a layover means that you have time between your two flights. Like you've landed in the US and you have time before your next flight. That's called a layover. Keeping those cards handy for when you eat in restaurants at US airports Also very, very handy. If you have children traveling with you with those food allergies, keeping a list of anything like that, very important. You can even use that when you take your child to the doctor for the first time, or in the United States, we have a thing called urgent care. Those things are really, really handy, especially if if your spouse or someone has to go and take your child to the doctor. You have that visual card right there, because that's always something that's asked. When you register your child for school, they always ask, does your child have any allergies? You have them right there. So those are really handy for a lot of things, not just travel. So moving on to the next one, and that's going to be common requests. So learning these phrases will be really helpful. And the first one is simply, hello, how are you? And that was the common greeting. When I was in Mexico, it was, hola, ¿cómo estás? And I would respond, hola, muy bien, ¿y tú? And they can tell. You can tell how someone responds to that question, or how they say that question. A couple of things. Number one, you can hear an accent, right? So they know, oh, you're not from around here. And B, however you respond. So like by me saying, oh, muy bien, ¿y tú? I say it probably a lot slower than someone from Mexico, and it's probably more formal, all of those things. So native Spanish speakers are going to have just different responses, kind of like in the United States, we're like, what's up? Or holla, different greetings for native speakers because we're comfortable with that language. Just like in your home, you have different, more casual greetings, and you can tell a native speaker just by their greeting. So it's not just polite to know these phrases, but again, to whoever you're speaking to, they're going to be able to tell. Like if you respond, I am very well. In the United States, that would be very formal, right? So it changes how they're going to approach you, and they'll probably approach you with a more helpful understanding. It'll change the way they speak back to you. They'll probably choose words that are more formal, which would match your formal English education. So it really helps the conversation. Just a simple greeting. And it makes the people so happy. For example, when I was in Mexico and I would, respond en muy bien, ¿y tú? Or I'd say, oh, es muy cansada. They applaud you because they're like, oh, your Spanish is very good. And then you're like, oh, yay, thank you. Even though I knew my Spanish was not very good. Can you help me? Like I said on the previous slide, very, very, very important. Learning words like restroom or car service or baggage claim, knowing this phrase and one more word that you're looking for, or just knowing this phrase of can you help me? And then you pull up Google Translate. That's going to be really, really, really helpful when you get here. And then the top three, I like to call these the requests. I need, I want, and where is. They're just the three basic, and then you can Google Translate if whatever you need to fill it in with. I want, mine for me in Spanish, yo quiero. I need, yo necesito. Where is, donde? Donde es? So I still remember my three. And then even if I had to say restroom in English or food, they got it. They understood it. So learning those three phrases are very, very, very helpful when you're traveling internationally. And this goes not just for when you're coming to the US. If you're traveling to any country that does not speak your native language, strongly recommend. So when you get to your hotel, some tips and tricks for when you get to your hotel. Number one, this is from recent experience. Check to make sure that they have enough towels and toiletries for your family, because you do not want to get out of the shower and have to use a washcloth to dry off. That will take a lot longer than a towel. Okay, so check to make sure you have everything you need. If you don't have everything you need, call the front desk. There is a phone in your room. Call the front desk and say, hey, we need more towels. Look around as you're coming into the hotel. Google Maps will oftentimes show you what's around you to eat. Look around and see what restaurants are available. What's the food? What are the options? Because chances are when you get there, you're going to be hungry and you're going to want to know where the food is. Another great question to ask, and this is no matter where you are, ask the front desk, and they will be honest with you. Ask the front desk how safe it is to walk places, especially at night. Okay? I don't say that question to scare you. I say that question to prepare you. Because in some places, it might not be safe to walk at night, especially if you have children or if you're by yourself. When you're traveling alone, you have to know when it is safe to leave your hotel room. Now, I'm not saying you need to stay in your hotel room and DoorDash all of your food. No, you need to get out, explore, practice your English, all of those things. But learn when it is safe to do so. Okay? The next thing you need to do is map your route to work. Understand left, right, and pay attention to street names. Okay? Here in the U.S., I know that when you're comfortable with an area, especially in the South, we'll say, all right, there's a 7-Eleven on the corner. You're going to hang a left there. You're going to go about, I don't know, a football field's length. Then you're going to take another right. There's going to be a big oak tree right. That's how we give directions in the South. But you coming into the United States, you're not going to know where the 7-Eleven is or the big oak tree or where Mr. and Mrs. Smith live. You need to pay attention to street signs. And I think the U.S. does a pretty good job of labeling their streets, especially at major intersections and all that kind of stuff. So pay attention to street signs and map your route to work. Understand your route to work. Know that you have to go down First Street and then you will take a right onto Alachua Street or wherever you are. So know your street names and the directions on how to get to work from your hotel. Not only that, you need to know how much time it's going to take. And my suggestion to you is map it in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, because Google Maps will now tell you and adjust for traffic. So know how much time it's going to take. Okay? Very, very, very important. So my final tip to everyone is to overcome your fears. You will probably experience a lot of nerves and a lot of fear, which is totally normal. Like I said, when I got off the plane, I've been practicing Spanish now for a year. And when I got off the plane in Mexico, it all left my brain. It was all gone. So understand that you're going to be nervous. You're going to have some fear, and that's okay. But you have to overcome those fears. Put yourself in the native speaker's shoes. If someone came up to you if I came up to you in your native country and I said, "Can you help me?" And you can tell I don't speak your language. I know you guys can't tell, but I'm 5'10". I'm a tall woman. I stand out in a crowd. Okay. So you're going to look at me and go, she's not from here. And hello in Pakistan. So you would stop. You all are nurses. It's just in your DNA. It's in your genes that you're going to help people and you're going to be understanding. So when someone comes up to you and says, can you help me? Same thing is going to happen in the US. If you stop someone and say, can you help me? Yes. Most of the time, someone is going to stop and help you. I know that a lot of times you see on movies, especially in big cities like New York, and people just brushing by and hitting you. You may have to really get their attention because nowadays, what are we doing? We're on that phone, right? We're in our phone. So you may have to really get in their face and be like, can you help me? That's okay. It's 100% okay. And then chances are a lot of times that they'll ask you, where are you from? That'll be the next question. Yes, absolutely. Where are you from? You may run into someone who actually speaks your language. You never know. It's the USA and we speak over 350 languages around here. So you may run into someone who's been to your country or can actually speak a little bit of your language. How awesome would that be? But if not, asking for help. First of all, don't be scared of your accent. That's okay. That's actually going to help you in this situation. It really is. Don't be scared of pronouncing something the wrong way. So I learned when I was in Mexico, and I was saying there's a difference between papa and papa. One means father, one means potato. So I didn't want to call my dad a potato, right? So don't worry about misplacing an accent or mispronouncing something, because the native speaker is going to get it. If someone says, "Have you seen my father?" I'm going to understand that they didn't mean, "Have you seen my potato?" Right? They're going to understand. So don't be afraid about mispronouncing. Don't be afraid about knowing your accents or anything like that. Don't be scared to ask for help. You have to ask for help, and people are going to be willing to help you, especially if you're staying in a hotel. Those front desk people, those are your best friends. They are your besties for the resties. They are going to help you. That is their job, to help you. So when you get to the US, make friends with the front desk. They will help you with everything. That is what they're there to do. Okay? Hello in Dubai. So that's kind of it. That's it for the day. That's the traveling lingo. I just really wanted to use my recent experience and I had to think about myself as an international traveler and someone who landed in a country where a lot of times they didn't speak my language. I wanted to put myself in your shoes when I thought about today's presentation. So I thought about, what are words that I would need to know? What are words that you will need to make sure you know when you get to the US? Just remember, once you've made it here, you've made it. As soon as you land at the airport, they're not going to look at you and go, "Oh, your English is awful. Get out." Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I fear to tell you this, here in the United States, our English isn't that great either. Your grammar is probably way better than ours. So you'll only get better by practicing as well. You will only get better by practicing, speaking those words out loud, asking for help out loud, asking for airlines, asking for hotels, directions, addresses, any kind of help. Where's the bathroom? Always asking for those things, and don't be afraid to ask. Someone will help you. Because I know it's crazy. Airports are crazy. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got to get somewhere. It's crazy. So take a deep breath. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because there will be help. Okay? That is it for Kari's Corner today. Just a friendly reminder, if you have not applied with Worldwide HealthStaff Solutions, if you're working as an inpatient bedside position, if you've already passed the NCLEX exam, we welcome you. We welcome you. We are so, so, so happy to have you. Ahmed. Oh, Ahmed. Ahmed has been in my English course, and he is such a hard worker. Fantastic. So happy to see you guys here. We do offer free language classes. That is brought to you by me. Once you complete those language classes, then you can have a one-on-one tutoring session with me. So I will help you prepare for your English exam. I'll stay in contact with you. I'll help you before your embassy interview. Before you come to the US, we'll practice some airport terminology and traveling terminology or lingo. I am happy to help you, but you got to be a nurse in the Worldwide HealthStaff Solutions family first and foremost. And after that, you got to complete the English course, our free English course, which that's not what this is. This is just my corner. This is just a taste of the English course, a teaser, if you will. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I am so happy to be back. I am so thankful and blessed that you stumbled into my corner today. And I'm so thankful to be home in the good old US of A. And I can't wait to welcome each of you into the US of A. So thank you again for coming into the corner. And remember, don't face the corner, face the world with Worldwide. Have a great day, everyone.